parlay selection features, live betting options, original bets, and the best daily promotions in the business. Plus, when you huddle up with BetMGM at your fingertips, every pass, every catch, and every game matter more than ever. Remember to use code KOSTOS, KOSTOS, and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if you don't win your first bet. Football is back, Kansas sports fans. Don't miss out on any of the hard-hitting action. Place your moneyline prop and parlay bets with BetMGM today. BetMGM and GameSense remind you to play responsibly. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 years of age or older. Kansas only. New customer offer. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards or non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. Please gamble responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars. Lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed. Early bird special only $49.99. Seminar Sunday, January 26th at the Spring Hill Suites by Marriott Wichita Airport in Wichita. Weight loss seminar starts at 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar starts at 2 p.m.
Wichita State's men's basketball hosts South Florida on January 6th at 6 p.m. For tickets, visit GoShockers.com/tickets.
The KFH Studios, powered by Devon James Injury Lawyers. Call 888-8888.
That's 888-8888.
Traffic.
Roads completely snow-packed here in the Wichita area. Do not travel if you do not have to, but just give yourself plenty of extra time and room if you do have to get out on the roads today. The emergency accident reporting plan is in effect for Wichita. If the accident has no injuries and both vehicles are drivable, you can exchange information with the other driver and report the accident to a police substation later. Traffic update from 98.7 and 1330 KNSS. I'm Jed Chambers.
Weather.
If you missed Sports Daily, you missed this.
A doomsday scenario here is coming true, and it shouldn't surprise any of us. Boise State rolled by Penn State. Oregon rolled by Ohio State. You know, I hate to say it, you could see it coming a mile away. These teams are going to struggle that have to sit out for 3.5 weeks, especially when their competition does not.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate that we're going to get through this very first year of the 12-team playoff, and that's going to be the narrative that everybody takes away from it, is just the fact that you've got these blowout games left and right. I mean, even going back to the very first round, you had a bunch of blowouts. But yeah, that's going to ultimately be the narrative when this is all said and done. And it's something that I think the committee is going to have to address and try to figure out.
Sports Daily with Jacob Albrocht, Tommy Kester on 97.5 and 1240 KFH. Kansas fan headquarters, 97.5 and 1240 KFH Wichita. KNSS HD2 Clearwater, an Odyssey sports station.
Hey, Wichita, it's Jacob Albrocht. Stay right there for the latest breaking in sports talk. It's Sports Daily coming up next, exclusively on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
I'm Chris Rose with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Jahmyr Gibbs scored 4 touchdowns. Lions beat the Vikings 31-9 to clinch the NFC North and the number 1 seed. Lions finished 15-2. Vikings the 5 seed with 14 wins. Bucs rallied from 10 down to beat the Saints 27-19 to clinch the NFC South. It took until the final play, but Mike Evans surpassed 1,000 receiving yards for the 11th consecutive season, tying Jerry Rice for the longest streak all time. Broncos blanked the Chiefs 38-0 to clinch the AFC's final wildcard spot. Titans have the number 1 pick in the 2025 draft after losing to the Jags, coupled with the Patriots' win over the Bills. After the game, New England fired head coach Gerard Mayo, went 4-13 in his lone season. Wildcard matchups are set. Saturday, it's Chargers at Texans, Steelers at Ravens. Sunday, Broncos at the Bills, followed by the Packers at Eagles, the nightcap, the Commanders at Bucs. And Monday night, the Rams play host to the Vikings. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by: never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project, We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrocht and Tommy Kester.
Hey, everybody. Welcome into the early edition of Sports Daily, our maiden voyage back into Morning Drive Radio here on KFH, Kansas's fan headquarters. Jacob Albrocht, Tommy Kester with you. Glad to be here with you. If you are new to our show and normal listeners to KFH during this time, glad to have you on board with us. We're ready to be here with you. The KFH hotline is ready for you at 869-1240. If you're driving now, please be safe. It is nasty out there. Glad to see on the other side of our video stream that Tommy made it in here to the studio. It was, I assume, still pretty rough out there on the roads, Tommy.
Yeah, it was. It was not great out there. So make sure you take it slow if you are happen to get around. I want to note the irony of all of this, that our very first morning show, like early morning show, in Morning Drive is on a day when people are recommended to not drive. That's the irony of us launching the show on today.
Yeah, that'll happen in the world of television and radio and all the things. You know, it's funny, you're in this business for however long now, 20 years, and like snow days don't really mean a whole lot to you. You're like, oh great, that just means I got to be out in the snow. And it doesn't have the same allure that it used to have to just sit at home all day in the snow. Shoveling yesterday, we've got our businesses. We're trying to get the doors unfrozen. Like, I hate the snow now. It's not fun at all anymore. Like, talk to me when I can go skiing. Otherwise, it's a pain in the butt. Hey, I guess we need the moisture. Glad to have everybody here with us. That video stream we mentioned, of course, if you're new to the program. If you're new to us for this time slot, when you get wherever it is you're going, you can also watch our video stream, Facebook, YouTube, on X. You can reach us in all three of those places. Leave us your comments, of course, on the Odyssey app as well. Not to worry to everybody. This show will stay largely the same, and we're very excited about it. We're very excited to be able to keep all those great listeners from 9 to 11 that we've had forever. So hello to you, listeners from 9 to 11 that we've always had, and we'll continue to have. Our insiders, our Sports Daily insiders continue. We got the voice of the K-State Wildcats on in about 10 minutes. Wyatt Thompson will join the show as we get ready. Look, K-State basketball didn't have a great non-con. They're off to a pretty good conference start, even though they didn't get it done this weekend. They came very close. We'll talk to Wyatt Thompson about that. In any last remaining thoughts about the football team as the bowl game is in the books. We haven't talked to Wyatt Thompson since K-State, I don't think, finished the bowl game. We've also got Jaylon Thompson. We're excited to bring him in full-time now as our Royals insider to get caught up on the Royals offseason. What have they done? What do they still need to do? So I'll have Jaylon Thompson on in our coming up at about an hour and 30 minutes from now. So we're looking forward to both of those interviews. We're looking forward to, of course, the end of the NFL regular season. We've got all kinds of reaction and fallout. You know, this is called Black Monday in a lot of circles. We'll see if there are any more firings today. And we've got CFP games in the books now, and we're looking on to the semifinals. Tommy, it's a wild time of the year here as we turn the calendar to 2025, and we're ready for it.
Yeah, can we talk for just a second about how bad the NFL slate was yesterday?
Yeah, it's tough.
It was not good, not a good set of games. There were a few that had the playoff implications. Obviously, the primetime game last night with the Lions and the Vikings, that did for sure. But that ended up being a blowout for the Lions. The Vikings couldn't do anything in the red zone, so I think that obviously brought down the allure of that game for sure. It was not a good day of NFL football. And usually the final week of the regular season is that way, as everybody is already thinking about the playoffs and what that's going to look like. But man, it was a rough watching day yesterday for the NFL.
Yeah, look, you had the Buccaneers have to come back. That made it good. You had, for some reason, all the Washington starters playing against the Cowboys as they screwed over Cooper Rush, and Jerry Jones saying after the game, I didn't realize he had that contract incentive. We just wanted to look at Trey Lance. Oh, that was a screw job. What was a bigger screw job, that or the Patriots firing Gerard Mayo as like a final nail in the coffin of them winning and costing themselves the number 1 draft pick? All of those things are happening. I think Jerry Jones's stuff yesterday was the most egregious, but we can get to that later. The Chiefs, there was an opportunity, Tommy, for high drama because you had the Dolphins lose, but the Chiefs never for one moment were in that game against the Broncos. So that eliminated the Dolphins, Broncos, Bengals drama in about, 5 minutes of game time. It was pretty clear, the Chiefs are going to get smashed in this game. And I actually, look, I thought they had a chance to cover the number. I thought they'd show up. They did not. They got housed because largely the coaches decided not to show anything. So really, the Chiefs did treat it as a preseason game. I didn't think they'd do that, but they did. And when that happens, obviously, and you've got one team playing for everything and one team literally just going through the motions, that's when you get 38-0. So that eliminated that drama. You had the Buccaneers drama. That was good stuff. They had to come back and get their win. Mike Evans got his incentive on that last play. So all of that was fun. But yeah, that's not how you draw it up if you can. That's why they play divisional games late in the NFL, is to try to avoid what we saw yesterday. But all in all, it's behind us. And we're into the postseason, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, you mentioned how bad the Chiefs game was, obviously, and there really are not hardly any takeaways from that game yesterday, I don't think. And you talked earlier about how you had to go out and shovel driveways. I willingly went out and shoveled my own driveway during the Chiefs game, so I didn't have to sit there and watch just that beatdown. And look, I mean, you're going to hear a lot of different things coming out of that game from people who are not in the know, that don't follow the Chiefs, that, it's the worst loss in the Andy Reid era. And, the whole implications. Well, I mean, it is
people
from a
talking about that
standpoint. I've heard that a few different times about how the Chiefs laid down because they were scared to play the Bengals. And, they didn't want the Bengals
storyline. My fake storyline I've been coming up with for 3 weeks.
Social throughout, all of last night. No. And even so far this morning about how, Bengals fans are in their feelings big time this morning because of all of that.
I predicted that storyline a long time ago. They didn't want to play Burrow, right? That's what I've been messing with you about for about 3 months. It would come down to it.
It's not real.
And the Chiefs and the Chiefs wouldn't want to do it. Now, listen, I wouldn't want to play the Bengals versus the Broncos, but the Chiefs don't care about that. They were resting their starters. I do think it's interesting, though, the decision to rest starters because of the length, and we all know why they did it. They played 3 games in 11 days, and Mahomes is nicked up, and their players are getting older. I get why they did it. I think I probably would have done it too, especially if Mahomes and Kelsey and Jones and those guys were on board with it. But we did just see a long layoff in the CFP and how that affects teams, and it's going to be, 24 days for the Chiefs before they play a game. It's different. I get it. They've obviously been there before.
We also saw the Chiefs rest their starters a year ago, and they won a Super Bowl doing it. Like this is not.
But they didn't have a week 1 bye a year ago. So it's 3 years ago they did, and they had this same situation. They made the decision. They went on to the Super Bowl. I believe that's the Super Bowl they lost to the Buccaneers. Not that had anything to do. You only worry about that first game, right? And look, we can also look to the future and see that their first round game will come either against the Broncos, the Steelers, the Chargers, or the Texans. So obviously they're not going to play the Bills or the Ravens. I think, again, when guys are nicked up, I'm totally fine with it. We're going to get into that throughout the show for sure, though. When we come back, though, we'll switch to a little college hoops. K-State gets back at it. Look, they're looking okay right now, even with the loss this weekend. Wyatt Thompson, voice of the Wildcats, joins us next on Sports Daily.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere. Bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know. and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSPW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message, so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
831001 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you
and inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Into work and want to keep listening to Sports Daily even after you park the car with the Odyssey app and Odyssey.com. You can just download the app or visit Odyssey.com. Search for KFH. Download the Odyssey app today to get started. Of course, you can hear Wildcat Athletics on that Odyssey app when you search for KFH. And we are joined right now by the voice of the Wildcats, Wyatt Thompson, coming off of a loss this weekend for Wildcat basketball. But Wyatt, I would suspect that it is a loss that feels a little different than some of the other losses in the non-con. Cats are playing pretty good right out of the gates in the Big 12 here.
I think you can certainly look at it that way, Jacob, and good to be on with you guys again. I don't think it was an odd game in some ways. I guess I'll start with that. I thought K-State early in the game, even though they were right there, probably settled for too many threes. In the second half, they got a lot more aggressive trying to get to the rim. I felt like Coach was excited with the, I guess, just the effort that everybody gave. I think they fought hard. Here's the problem, though. You're up 62-56 with 3:15 to go, and you can't find a way to win. You miss a couple of one-and-ones. Give them some credit. They hit a shot, but that's the thing that stings. And I even led into that with my first question to Coach Tang, something to the effect of, this one really hurts. They all do, but this one hurts because you had every chance to win the game and probably, frankly, let one get away. And he didn't argue with me. He feels exactly the same way.
You know, Wyatt, it was interesting because watching the way that they played to kick off Big 12 play by taking down Cincinnati, it was a little bit of a different, I think, game plan for the Wildcats, where you really saw Coleman Hawkins and Doug McDaniel get super involved offensively. There was less of a reliance on the three. It was still there. That's a big part of their identity, but that wasn't the only part of their identity against Cincinnati. We saw a little bit more of a reliance on the three ball in that game against TCU. And I wonder, what that's going to look like moving forward. What do you suggest as far as the reliance on the three ball for Kansas State?
Well, I think when you really analyze what K-State has done to this point of the year, when they're not relying on it, Tommy, they're pretty good, especially when they get paint touches and get the ball moved side to side. I think that's the thing. And you mentioned into the Cincinnati game, it was very obvious that they were trying to get Coleman Hawkins more involved and were begging him to shoot the ball more. And you know what? Within, 15 feet of the basket, 15 feet and in. And I thought he really responded. He had 20 and 10 in that game and was really active. I thought K-State did a decent job in this game against TCU at Schollmeyer, again, with the effort and that kind of stuff. But again, a little bit reliant early. Once they got into the other mode, I thought they really competed. They didn't play well in the last 3 minutes of the game. The first half, here's the thing. I try to be fair all the time. You guys know me on that. But I've talked to 3 coaches about this since we have had our extended stay out on the road and not getting home because of the storm. And all of them agreed with me on this, that we had all kinds of great shots, wide open looks in the first half, 3 balls or otherwise. And I think Stan and I counted 4 air balls. I mean, they just were not in sync offensively. But once they kind of got going a little bit, they gave themselves a chance.
So I guess that's where sort of I land with it. Like I would imagine that when there is a settling of things and NCAA tournament resumes, K-State will regret not having this one against TCU. I get that, but they didn't shoot the 3 well, yet they should have won the game, right? They were in a position to win the game. And I think there was a point in the season, I didn't know if they'd be able to win any games where they didn't shoot the lights out from 3. And we saw it in the opener in the Big 12 too. Like they're starting to at least generate some offense or play better or be in these games, even when it's not all about the 3-pointer. And I guess that's what gives me some hope moving forward, that they might be able to find it before this season's over.
I think it's a great point, Jacob. To be honest, I do think that they have played better since the start of conference play. I think the coaches are really trying to message these guys on the positives and yet addressing the negatives. And I think that's how you do get better. Being around these guys on this trip has been probably the best thing for me. And I'm around them a lot. You guys know that. But Stan and I have talked about this. Stan lives in Kansas City, so he doesn't see them on a daily basis like I do. But what we've seen on this trip is a lot of film session, a lot of walkthrough stuff, practice, and that. And I'm not seeing any negativity. Are they frustrated they lost? Oh, absolutely. uh, Really down about it actually. But I think they feel like they still have room to grow and get better. Do they still have deficiencies? Sure. But I'll give you another example. This has been, and we've talked about this, guys. This has not been a good rebounding team, and yet K-State out rebounded TCU on Saturday. I think it was 47-36. So that's some progress there. Um, Still have issues with defense from time to time, free throw shooting from time to time, and those types of things. But again, they gave themselves a chance, and on the road in this league, that's all you can do. Some things you can't explain, right? I mean, like Kansas and what they did yesterday with UCF, you can't really explain that, other than they were just mad that they lost a home game finally. But we're going to see ups and downs in this league, is the point of the story. No doubt about that.
You mentioned the rebounding, Wyatt, and, of course, led by David Gasson, 17 rebounds for him. I didn't realize that's the most rebounds in a game since Michael Beasley in 2008 for the Wildcats, and the third most in program history. I mean, he was all over the boards in the first half, 14 of them coming there in the first half of action for the Wildcats. What do you credit that to? And how you mentioned how the Wildcats haven't been a good rebounding team. How do they capture that and, continue to have that kind of effort night in and night out?
Great question, great subject, I think, because here's what I wish. If I could change something, I would have a conversation with David Gasson and put a little magic spell on him to where he could have seen Michael Beasley in some of his games at K-State. He was a spectacular talent, and he was a double-double every night. I mean, every night. Had one of the greatest freshman seasons in the history of Big 12 basketball. And his effort was always pretty darn good. That's what sticks out with me for David. He's much more confident in almost every way, and he was more confident from sophomore to junior, and then junior to senior this year, just because he's played international basketball now. Last summer, he played basically with pros as he was representing the Netherlands international team and those kind of things. His effort he's long and athletic. He can run. He has good ball skills. I mean, he's not the best shooter, and we all know that. But man, one thing you cannot fault him on in any way, shape, or form is the effort. He was on the floor. He got fouled the other day and got knocked to the floor, and there wasn't even a foul called. But I mean, those things happen. But he is just playing so hard. And I don't think this is a stretch. He's been K-State's most consistent player this year, hands down, easy. Agree?
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
that. I don't know that they want that to continue by the end of the year. Him being
No, definitely not.
So it's good. He's helped get them to this point. They're going to need everybody to be good. They go back on the road tomorrow night. Quick turn. Oklahoma State, the only team right now lower than K-State in the net. I know it's a road game, but it does feel a little gotta have it to me.
Yeah.
In Stillwater tomorrow night.
Well, and because of what lies ahead. I mean, we finished a 2-game swing here, and now you got 2 at home. But those teams are Tech, who's pretty good, and Houston, who's great, right? And then, well, actually, you got Houston, then Tech, and then Kansas. That's the actual. You guys want to tackle that one?
3 top 25
That's
teams
what baseball
essentially in a
counts
row.
here. So
Yeah. I mean,
that's why I think the message is guys, you got to keep grinding, because we're going to have our moments where we're getting better and we struggle a little bit. It's going to be hard for them to win games in this league consistently, just because I'm not saying they can't. Don't misunderstand, but especially on the road, it's difficult. So I'm like going back to what you said before, Jacob. I really felt like K-State absolutely had to have one of these 2 road games, because if we're being honest, TCU and Oklahoma State are 2 of the weaker teams in the league as of right now.
Do we know, you mentioned the travel issues. Of course, the weather has been, as we all know, awful in this part of the country, and the delays coming back from Dallas for the Wildcats. Of course, a turnaround to Stillwater tomorrow. How does the weather impact the preparations and everything for the Oklahoma State game?
I don't think it's too much, to be honest with you. I don't think they were surprised that we weren't able to get out. I've been doing this a long time, and I'll just tell you a real quick story briefly. We had that storm going on in Kansas with ice, and I kept checking in with my wife, and I think Manhattan, I don't know what you guys know, but I'm going to guess they had 13, 14 inches of snow like most everybody else. And when we were in Fort Worth, they had a high wind warning with 40-mile-an-hour winds, and a cold advisory where it was 45 degrees. I thought, I mean, it was like A to Z different, right? But the point of the story is the guys had an extra day. They did some work, extra film session, which I think is good. Sometimes you bond better on the road than you do at home, I think is part of the crux of this story. And then, we get out last night, get into Stillwater about 8:30 or whatever. And now they can settle in. They won't do a ton today because they play tomorrow night, but they've got a 2-hour practice scheduled from 2 to 4 this afternoon. And I'm anxious to see how they respond. I know they're trying hard. They're far from perfect, but they're fighting.
We'd be in a warning for 3 months if we flagged it by 45 degrees and 40-mile-per-hour wind.
That's spring for us, right, bud?
Yeah. What are we doing here? Real quick, Wyatt, before we let you go, football. Tommy and I haven't talked to you since the Rate Bowl. Nice comeback win. We don't need to get into the specifics of that game, but the Dylan Edwards game, I mean, is it that simple for you, or is there more to take away from it? Did they see enough from him to hand him the keys next year, you think, in a full-time Deuce Vaughn type role?
Well, I think the easy answer is yes, but I don't want to short Joe Jackson either. I think they love his ability. But you are talking about a guy that had 220 yards on 20 touches with 3 scores. And for them to respond like that without Giddens was so great. And I think it does. I remember talking after the bowl game a year ago how that effort springboards them into 2024. And I think this does that to 2025. They've done pretty well in the portal. And as I always say, and it's true again this time, they always more benefit from it than being hurt by it. And that's the case here. And I don't think they're done yet. So I'm really pumped up for spring football. Most people aren't, but I love seeing the new guys that can come in and be part of the, that second semester group. And we've got a lot of young players. We've talked about it all year long. I was very proud of the way they fought back in that bowl game, and I know they were too. It was great.
You mentioned the fight for sure was great. I thought the game plan was phenomenal because you knew what they wanted to do. You knew that they wanted to feed, they wanted to get the ball to Dylan Edwards as much as they possibly could and, try to get some space for him on the edge and all of that. But then all of a sudden, Kansas State goes down by 17. And my first thought was they're going to have to abandon that game plan if they want to get back into the game. They didn't do that. They kept with that game plan and, kept feeding him. And then, of course, getting Avery Johnson and Jace Brown out in space to be able to create. To me, that was a testament of the way that really they were dedicated to how they wanted their game plan to play out.
That's a great point, Tommy, because I think they knew going in that where they had the advantage in a really big way was team speed offensively with Avery and with Jace Brown and obviously with Dylan Edwards. And they just kept grinding with it. If you'd have said to me going into the game, no DJ Giddens and K-State would rush for 300 yards, I would have called both of you crazy, right?
Yeah.
Anybody would have. And yet they hung with it. I thought Connor Riley really called a pretty good game. And then when they weren't doing very well defensively, I thought they made some good adjustments at halftime. And kind of like the KU game in the second half, they brought the house, man, and we got in Kaliak Manis' face, and they're pretty good when they do that. Honestly, there's risk reward to it. There's no doubt about that. But if you think about it, in the second half, they gave up one short field score, and that was because of the poor coverage on the punt return.
It's going to be fun. We can't wait to see how the portal shakes out, and then we'll rely on everybody else to tell us how good these players are because it's wild and we don't know, but we can get excited about it. Wyatt, you guys have the call. 6:00 coverage begins here on KFH, Oklahoma State. Again, got to have it. Can't lose games to Oklahoma State if you want any shot at the NCAA tournament. We're looking forward to the broadcast. Hopefully travel is easy and safe, but we'll have you right here tomorrow night.
Well, if you're willing to scrape my car before I get home, I'm all in. So I'll sign you up. But I'm going to guess that about midnight tomorrow night, I'm going to be doing that. So other than that, I'm all good. I love doing games at Gallagher Ibe. It's a great arena, fun time.
Heck yeah. Wyatt, we appreciate it. Welcome to the morning hours here.
Absolutely. I love it. I'm excited about that 7:15 slot, buddy.
You strike me as somebody who's up anyway, right? You don't. Yeah, you don't have these bags under my eyes right now.
You'll get used to that the more you do it, brother.
You're not fighting that. We appreciate it, Wyatt. We'll talk to you next week.
Anytime, guys.
Here's Wyatt Thompson. Good stuff there. Lot to, I think, yeah, it sucks that they didn't beat TCU, because that's one probably, if it got down to it, they need to have it. I'm not sure we're at a place this year where we need to be into the weeds of that yet. The reality is, for me, Tommy, the Cats are playing better in Big 12 play, and that's at least the beginning of a sigh of relief, because if they played the way they played in the non-con in the Big 12, they're going to finish at the bottom of the Big 12. But I do think they're playing better than that now.
They are, and showing the way that they kicked off Big 12 play and beating Cincinnati. And I think, as we talked about with Wyatt, the way in which they did so, the less of a reliance on just standing around and shooting the three with Brennan Hausen, creating some offense with Coleman Hawkins, with Doug McDaniel, being able to have David Gasson be a force down low. That's what propelled Kansas State to knocking off a top 20 team in Cincinnati. They very nearly beat TCU, but they've got to get back to the way that they played against Cincinnati. If they do that, they've shown that they can. It's just a matter of whether or not they will night in and night out.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think it'll be an entertaining Big 12 season for them. I hope. All right, let's switch gears here. Doug Peterson just fired. That's the first casualty of Black Monday in the NFL. So we've got Mayo fired, Peterson fired. We've had the other firings that have happened. Of course, more could come today. We'll see what the Cowboys ultimately decide to do with Mike McCarthy. That's certainly the most high profile of them. That one's how does Mike McCarthy not make sure Cooper Rush starts that game? Like that's such a we watch the broadcast of the Chiefs, and you hear Tony Romo and Jim Nantz talking about how Sean Payton has in the past gone out and made sure his players reached milestones, made sure they got Cortland Sutton to his milestone in that game. You see what the Buccaneers do with Mike Evans, and in a total meaningless play, go get him his yardage to get him his record and earn him a ton of money. Geno Smith hit, I think, 3 different milestones in his game. And then here you've got this dumpster fire of the Cowboys, who can't get out of their own way on anything, that start Trey Lance for the first time. If you wanted to get a good look at Trey Lance, you could have started him 3 weeks ago.
Right.
But you don't. You start him in the finale, and oh, by the way, it comes in conjunction with screwing over a guy who started a ton of games for you over the years, has really bailed you out for $250,000, right? Not even close to what some of these other guys were to reach with their incentives. And then Jerry Jones after the game says, "Oh, I didn't even realize it was on there," which is
You know why that is? You know why it is? Because Mike McCarthy's not in charge. The head coach of the Dallas Cowboys is not in charge.
You can't.
Bottom line, as long as Jerry Jones is there.
Right. So why is McCarthy there? That's what, like,
why would any head coach want to go there?
Well, I know, but people act like there's never a history of strong-willed coaches being there. That's not
Garrett in charge.
No,
absolutely not.
But Bill Parcells was. 20
years ago.
I know. I understand. I'm just saying, like, at some point, if you're the head coach, stand up for your players. Like that, to me, like that's I'm not coming to play for them. Ridiculous. All right. We're going to come back. We'll get to the rest of the NFL Week 18 takeaways when we return. Sports Daily.
5 and 1240 KFH.
Join Mark Patrick Seminar.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere, bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSPW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Welcome back in, everybody. Sports Daily. Hey, are you a root beer fan? Because HTO has root beer iced tea back for the first time in a couple of years. One of the all-time seasonal favorites is back starting today. Now, you're going to get a late open today because of the weather. So shooting for an 11 a.m. open in Wichita and in Derby. But when you get there, you can get some root beer on us. You can win a free iced tea and a free coffee drink, including the root beer iced tea latte. All you got to do to win is text the keyword T to the short code 20357. That's T 20357. You can win one of each. Each participant can enter once per day. Message and data rates apply. Good luck, everybody. Stay safe out there. If you're just waking up, getting in your car, whatever, be safe. It is not great yet, and we're not going to come above freezing for a while here. I think I saw until like Saturday. So we're not going to get a lot of help. We appreciate, by the way, shout out to any of the city maintenance workers out there plowing the roads, county, KDOT, whoever it is. We appreciate all your hard work. Hope we're keeping you entertained while you got to drive around all night and get those roads good for us. Tommy, it is another announcement here during the break. Brian Dable will be back with New York. So not a firing there. We've seen Doug Peterson be fired this morning. Week 18's wild, and the Chiefs, as we can dig into them a little bit now in the discussion of how long they'll go without playing, it's funny. I did not see this turn coming. Like, I have made up this totally fake storyline for you and have been messing with you on it it's been a long time, predicting that this would happen, right? Like, this has all been tongue in cheek, but then of course it comes true that the Bengals are the team nobody wants to play. It'll come down to the end of the season, and the Chiefs will have to decide whether they want to give Joe Burrow a chance to get into the postseason. And of course, that's how it plays out. And of course, Bengals fans are acting mad. Of course, the Chiefs don't give one lick about any of that. But it is funny to me that we are getting that today. And here's why it's funny to me. Because like, nobody needs to, like, we don't need to run to the defense of the Chiefs. Of course they didn't like roll over so that the Bengals did. That's the most ridiculous thing ever. Nobody needs to like defend them for that. But, you know, Bengals fans are, I guess, are in the heads of Chiefs fans and in whatever it is. But no, the Chiefs made the decision to rest their older players basically, and to not show anything against Denver that anybody would take a look at. I mean, DJ Humphries played in the game. That's probably the most meaningful thing that happened for the Chiefs. I don't know if he played well enough to supplant Joe Thuney or not, but the coaches got a good enough look that they'll be able to make that decision. I think the conversation today needs to be about how will this long layoff affect the Chiefs? Not did they do it on purpose to keep the Bengals out? Look, as somebody who wants the Chiefs to win another Super Bowl because I've picked it and we cover that team, I'm glad Cincinnati's not there. You know, I'd much rather see Denver or Miami there than Cincinnati, but it has nothing to do with the Chiefs. It just has to do with, like, what is the path of least resistance? So I'm far more concerned with, is 3.5 weeks too long? It was in college football, and I knew it would be in college football. I don't know if it is in the NFL, especially for a team who's been there and won back-to-back Super Bowls.
I'll tell you one thing that absolutely did not happen for the Chiefs this weekend. They did not watch the Bengals in their game on Saturday against the Steelers and come away from that game shaking in their boots and being like, we've got to tank against the Broncos tomorrow because we absolutely cannot face the Bengals. That didn't happen because, yeah, Joe Burrow has been really, really good this year. Jamar Chase is one of one, and Trey Hendrickson is a stud. But outside of those three guys, it's not impressive for the Bengals. Their defense is not super impressive. They couldn't get a whole lot done outside of Burrow and Chase offensively. But you know what? What they did was they protected themselves and the health of their superstars. The Chiefs did yesterday in the game against Denver to get them ready for a long playoff run and a three-peat in the Super Bowl. And they only owe that to themselves. They don't owe anybody else anything. People conveniently forget about the fact that Cincinnati started the year 1-4, and then they were 4-8 after that. Like, those games matter, and people whining and crying, Bengals fans and people in the national spotlight who are whining about how Cincinnati, who they became media darlings, didn't make it and how it was unfair that they didn't make it and all of that. They're forgetting about the fact that Cincinnati started the season so poor. They lost at home to the Patriots, who fired their head coach yesterday. Like, win those games, start off better, and you wouldn't be in that situation at all. And you know what? You talked about like that narrative that you and I've been talking about it for a long time. It has expanded, and it expanded during the game yesterday and after the game yesterday beyond just Bengals fans. Like, there are prominent people. I saw an ESPN writer call what the Chiefs did tanking, and he called it the low light of the season for the NFL. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like,
he's probably a Bengals fan.
The Chiefs did what they needed to do to make sure that they ensured the health of their top guys.
Yeah, again, you could see this coming. I told you this would happen with the Bengals. I told you it would happen. All of those ridiculous close, including to the Chiefs, a game they should have won, were going to bite them, and they were going to be the best team that did not make the postseason. Could see it coming a mile away. Jamar Chase just won a Triple Crown and almost had like a top 5 yardage and touchdown season in a Triple Crown. Crazy, crazy good offensive things happening, and it's their problem, right? It's nobody else's problem. They didn't get there. Again,
Chiefs don't owe them anything. No,
of course they don't. No, they don't. They don't owe anybody anything. I mean, it's a good thing, but the reality is it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. What matters is, are the Chiefs going to be off too long? It'll be interesting because we'll get somewhat of a case study. You saw a couple of things I think to think about. Zay Flowers may miss a playoff game because he played in a game at the end of the year. Now, the Ravens had something to play for. Sure they did, but not everything. And Zay Flowers gets hurt. So you got to think about that. And then think about the Lions too. So the Lions 2 weeks ago did not need to play their guys. They didn't. It wouldn't have mattered to yesterday, but they did. And I think that to say one is the other is the incorrect way to look at this. The Lions and Dan Campbell, their coach, their identity, they have, they haven't been there before. They made the decision that it would benefit them the most to play that game last week as if it were, everything as normal and everything on the line. I've got no issue with that. And I wouldn't have an issue with that had a key player gotten hurt. I think somebody did on the defensive side. I've got no issue with that because you've got the coach of a team who's been ascending for 3 years that decides this is the best thing for my team. I'm a Dan Campbell guy. I trust Dan Campbell to know that and to know that that benefits his team. I also trust Andy Reid and knowing that we can afford to rest these guys and it's okay if they don't play for 3.5 weeks. So
it's not a one size fits all approach.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the issue is that, I heard people, talk about the fact that, all these teams rested their starters. It happens every single year. It wouldn't matter if you
some teams do and some teams don't.
Wouldn't matter if you played 11 games, 18 games, 25 games. It wouldn't matter because you're always going to have teams that will have their playoff destiny locked up and they feel the need to rest their players. And you know what? The Chiefs caught a ton of crap yesterday. I think it was a perfect storm based on the situation, based on the Bengals, based on the way that the Chiefs lost that game to Denver. It was a perfect storm. Nobody at all was talking about the fact that the Bills lost to the Patriots. The Bills played Mitch Trubisky and Mike White at quarterback yesterday, outside of one snap from Josh Allen so he could get his consecutive games continuing. Allen went and sat down, and then it was all backups from there on out for the Bills, and they lost the game to the Patriots. In fact, that helped the Patriots not get the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft, and Gerard Mayo was out the door.
Now that's next level strategy. Keep your division rival away from the number 1 pick.
Nobody's talking about the fact that the Bills rested quite a few players. The Rams rested all of their stars
but
yesterday.
They don't have first-round buys. So again, it's not apples to apples. They don't have first-round buys, so they're not going to rest for 2.5 weeks. They'll rest for 1 week. And I do think that matters too. But again, it's just like the preseason for me. And I know you don't agree with me on this. I don't care what Andy Reid decides to do in the preseason. I don't care if it ends up getting somebody hurt like it did Hollywood Brown this year. I'm going to trust the guy who's won back-to-back Super Bowls to do the best thing for his team, to know his team enough to make the decision that he feels like is the best for his team. He did not feel like, and of course, neither did Mahomes and Kelsey and Jones, they needed to play in that game. Okay, that's fine. Is it going to hurt them in 2 weeks when they play their first playoff game? Maybe. With this team, there's not a safer team to do it with. And also Patrick Mahomes is nicked up. And also Chris Jones is nicked up. And also Travis Kelsey is older. I think you have to look at everything circumstantial. So I don't have a problem with it with the Chiefs. I have a huge issue, for example, because I don't want to sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. I hate that they make the CFP teams, the top seeds, wait that long to play a game. The Chiefs are basically waiting that same amount of time. But the Chiefs are back-to-back Super Bowl winners. The Chiefs are making the choice to do it, right? They're not forced to do it. And so it's okay. And we'll see if it holds on. It's not going to impact this team. There are teams, let's say it was, I don't know who's in that this would have bought. Like, I would think it's the wrong decision, for instance. Like, if you had, let's say you had the Broncos or a younger to the Commanders or somebody having to make this kind of decision, I wouldn't have done it then. I wouldn't have liked to see that, because you got young players, especially at quarterback, who need the reps, who need the spotlight. I mean, the Commanders played everybody yesterday, right? The Packers played. Teams with young quarterbacks, essentially, they all played yesterday, even when maybe they didn't have to. And I think that's probably the right thing to do also, because those guys need those reps. They haven't been at this for as long as some of these Chiefs key players. So look, we'll find out in a couple of weeks. The other thing that benefits them is I'm not particularly terrified of any of the teams they're going to play in that round. I think all of those teams are capable of beating them, as we saw in the regular season from almost all of them. But I'm not scared of them if I'm the Chiefs. The Chiefs are finally healthy, Tommy, for the first time.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it shows a few different things. I mean, first off, I think it shows just how valuable the Chiefs starters actually are, because there was a clear drop off yesterday.
Well, and they didn't coach that game well. I mean, they didn't coach for anything either.
But they didn't want to show the Broncos anything, and I think that actually accomplishes two things. I think number one, it gives Denver motivation that they can go potentially into Buffalo and upset the Bills in the wild card round. Because I mean, like that gives the Broncos so much momentum going into the playoffs. It gives Bo Nix momentum. It gives, that young guy who needs that sort of burst of energy before the first time he's ever been in the playoffs before. I think that helps a lot. It helps the Chiefs if the Broncos beat the Bills in the wild card round. And I don't know if they will, but they can at least potentially give Josh Allen some trouble. But then also, if the Chiefs are able, to face the Broncos again, let's say the Broncos beat Buffalo in the wild card round. If the Chiefs ultimately end up having to face the Broncos in the divisional round, they didn't show their hand, but they'll be ready, right? Like they were in Denver yesterday. They got their tails whipped, the backups did, by the Broncos. They didn't show their hand. And then potentially facing them again in the divisional round, you better believe those starters are going to be ready to go for Kansas City.
Yeah, they'll be ready. They'll be all right. We'll find out who they play. We'll get into the rest of this. Other NFL headlines, these coaching decisions. Tyreek Hill wants out of Miami, to the surprise of nobody. We'll get to that. Thanks to Prairie Fire Coffee for keeping us fueled up here on KFH. We're coming right back, hour 2 next.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere, bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSPW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite, or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
Now, from Wichita's most listened to sports radio, 97.5 and 1240 KFH. This is Sports Daily with Jacob Albrocht and Tommy Kester.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. Hour 2 of Sports Daily. If you have a home construction need, Pepin Suter should be on your list of calls. Let Pepin bid your project, and you'll quickly see why they're the choice for our kitchen remodel this past summer. Their work is top-notch. Their customer service is top-notch, and they will help you every step of the way. Call Pepin at 316-573-6822 or go to pepinsuter.com. Welcome back in. Hour 2 of Sports Daily here. We've got Jaylon Thompson, our Royals Insider, coming up a little later in the hour. Let's hit, Tommy, our other college basketball games here from the weekend. We talked to K-State with Wyatt Thompson there in the first hour. You can always go back and listen to that on the Odyssey app. Now let's talk about the other two. We'll start with KU yesterday. Not a lot of sweat there. 51 point win over UCF. It's exactly what KU needed to do. I think it highlighted exactly what KU has to do to be the best version of itself, with one exception that I can recall off the top of my head, the Duke game in which Hunter Dickinson had to leave the game. Like, he is the straw that stirs the drink. to me, Tommy, and he must be an All-American type player every night for them to ultimately end up where, we expected them to end up before the season. In the games he hasn't been good, they haven't been very good. Now, can they get this? Obviously, he was fantastic yesterday. If they can get that consistently, I think they'll be fine. It's can they get that consistently? That has been more of a problem probably this year than it was last year. But man, you can see it night and day when he's great, and everything they need to do to get him great is what they need to do to win basketball games.
Well, I mean, you could definitely tell that at least the team and Dickinson in particular, they were not happy after losing at home to West Virginia to kick off Big 12 play a little less than a week ago. You could tell that in the game yesterday against UCF. They came out fiery. They came out with focus, with determination, with all of that. And it wasn't just, hey, we're going to go on the road and we're going to win in Orlando. It was, we're going to dominate this game and we are going to impose our will on UCF. And that's exactly what they did. Hunter Dickinson showed why he's been one of the best players in college basketball for the last 3 or 4 years in that game yesterday. We don't always see that from Hunter Dickinson, but when he is able to, get his, and when he's able to be locked in that regard, in that way, he is a potential Naismith type player. 27 points for him, 9 rebounds. His career high, I think, is 33 or 34. And so he was just shy of that, but it was a great outing for him. But that was only one part of the recipe for the Jayhawks yesterday. Flory Badunga had a great game. He's going to be extremely important, I think, for the Jayhawks moving forward. They had great minutes from Shaquille Moore in the starting lineup. That was the first time he had started a game for the Jayhawks. And so just all of those things combined, Rylan Griffin shot the ball well, which hadn't really happened a whole lot of so far this season. It was just about as perfect of an outing for the Jayhawks as they could have possibly imagined.
And look, they needed it to be. And you saw nice performances from all the players that people have been questioning, DeJuan Harris and KJ Adams. KJ Adams had what KJ Adams, you hope he has, 7 points, 9 rebounds, 2 blocks. They're going to take that from KJ Adams. That's why he needs to be out there, right? What he can do defensively and what he can do from a physical standpoint. Everyone keeps talking about his shooting. Why is KJ Adams shooting, right? Like, it shouldn't need to be that way. It all looks good when you shoot almost 40% from 3 and all those things happen and you've got 30 assists versus 10 turnovers. Like, all of that looks good. And I don't want to overstate it. Like, they clearly were the best versions of themselves yesterday. But I do think there are things you can take away. And that is that it all has to start and work through Hunter Dickinson. He's not going to be able to do that against every Big 12 team they play, right? We know that the teams near the top and the best teams in the country will be able to get more physical with him and hold him back. But they still, that's the challenge to me, is how do you keep him going at that pace, keep him the center point, the focal point, all of these things. Flory Badunga being great would certainly help, right? Because you can give Hunter Dickinson more rest potentially, knowing you won't lose as much with Badunga and let Dickinson stay, charged up to the full. But that was a great game. KU up next, Arizona State, then Cincinnati, and then Iowa State, and then K-State, and then TCU. I'm not taking anything away from Arizona State, Cincinnati, K-State, or TCU. You've got a trip to Iowa State in there. But KU needs to come out of that stretch, Tommy, and have no more than 2 losses on their Big 12 resume at that point. And I think that'll get us back to the point where we're feeling good about KU.
Yeah, I think that the other thing that was really important, you mentioned what KJ Adams did. And I've been critical of Adams. I think I mentioned last week that I felt like he had regressed this year. But I think some of it in watching the game is that I think he's playing too many minutes. And what KJ Adams does best is provide a spark.
Yep.
And flies around the court, shows off the athleticism, everything that he can do defensively, what he can do, really when the Jayhawks need that little boost, when he's playing a ton of minutes, you don't get to have that kind of spark, right? Because he's out there a ton. And so I think that to be the best version of himself, he probably needs to play fewer minutes. And he didn't play quite as many, I think, as we've been accustomed to for him. And I think that's part of the reason why
24, but none of the starters did. And maybe that's a good thing too.
I think it is for sure. I think you're going to get the opportunity to see some of these other guys like Badunga. And, it was Badunga and really more like those two guys being able to show what they could do. And those are guys that have not gotten a ton of minutes recently for sure for the Jayhawks. But that, KJ Adams, was great, but he was able to do, I think, what he does best.
So the other interesting thing to me, and then we'll go to the Shockers, was Zeke Mayo did very little offensively, and it was probably the best offensive performance we've seen from KU. And I love what Zeke Mayo is bringing to the table. I don't say that to take anything away from Zeke Mayo. I say it to point out that Zeke Mayo scoring 25 points is not what makes this team its best self. Can he still be a big-time scorer and they be the best version? Absolutely. But let that game show you that him being the offensive focal point is not what will make KU the best version of itself. They must start with the easy baskets for the big fella down low and then work it out from there. And there will be a lot of game where Zeke Mayo scores because he can score. But, he doesn't need to be the one where the offense starts, I guess is my point. All right, Shockers, Tommy. Dadgummit. They had it. They had a great shot at it. I don't take anything. There's not, Temple will be considered, I think, if we're predicting this now, your top 4 teams in the league right now look like, well, I shouldn't say that. It's too early to say that. I was going to say it looks like Temple could be one of those teams that's in that top 4 range, but maybe not. Wichita State had a great chance to go to Philadelphia and beat them. They can't get it done. The defense lets them down just a little bit. You shouldn't be giving up 91 points to anybody. But it was a good game. It was a wildly entertaining game, more so than most of the conference games this team's played a year ago. I wasn't overly disappointed in the loss. I thought it was a game they could have won. They just didn't get it done.
Well, it's a game they should have won. I mean, look, the bottom line for Wichita State is you take a look at that final score, and it looks so much like so many of those conference games a year ago, right? When they had a lead early, they were in it, they were competitive, they looked like they were on track to win the game, and then they let it slip away at the end. And it really was a stretch late in the second half for the Shockers. They were up by, I think, 4, and then all of a sudden, just like that, they were down by 10. And that was it. And look, there is a big time difference between good teams and great teams. And usually the fine line between those two things are those type of games when you are up late and how you can close a game out to get a victory. I think Wichita State will get there, but it's a grind. And road conference wins are few and far between. They're hard to come by. They're difficult to obtain. But you've got to try to find a way when you are on the road in a hostile environment late in the second half with a lead to keep that lead and, to win. And I think they've got to try to use this as a learning experience if they want to avoid the same kind of fate they had a season ago in conference play.
Yeah, totally. It felt to me a little like the DePaul game. Not in that, look, DePaul made like 17 threes. Temple only made 9. It just felt like they didn't have a great answer for Temple's outside shooting late in the game. And I think, what were they? They were like 5 and 9 in the second. They just kept hitting big threes. I think that might be an area of emphasis to my untrained, coaching eye is how do you make it as, a little more difficult on the opposition from behind the arc. There'll be things to take away from it. I don't think losing a road game to Temple when the dust settles is going to be something we look at as wildly disappointing. I think Temple's going to end up in the top half of the league. So you look at that and you're like, okay, look, Wichita State's not going to be an at-large team. The Kansas City loss ensured that. They're not going to be an at-large team. So they got to win the conference tournament and position themselves to do it. And so, for me, I just want to see them be near the top of the league in the regular season, get there, and nothing that happened in the Temple game makes me feel like that's not going to be the case. They get South Florida next, and South Florida right now, South Florida got a win in their opener, but they have not been very good this year, 207 in the net. So you get that game at home here tonight. If they can play it with the travel, I think they probably can. You'll hear it on KYM, by the way. But that's a game you got to have. If they play. But now you got to come back home. Let's just assume they play. Whenever it is they play this game. And you got to beat South Florida at home. Period. So that comes tonight. We'll see it. When we come back, NFL storylines, Tyreek Hill looking for a new home. All the coaching fallout from this morning. We'll have the other NFL headlines when we return on Sports Daily.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere, bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSPW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems.
Why are they hiding it?
And real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issued a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back in. KFH hotline is open for you at 869-1240. Glad to have you with us. Of course, the video stream hopping with us here on Sports Daily, as it always is. Lots of great discussion and comments there. Facebook, YouTube, X, for you to leave your comments that we can get to. Thanks for watching us on 12 News Connected as well. A lot of different ways to take in the show, including the Odyssey app if you want to download the show and listen to it in podcast form. Jaylon Thompson, our Royals Insider, coming up in about 23 minutes. So stay tuned there. We'll get you all caught up. What do the Royals still need to do? What have they done? Have we missed anything, really, in the chaos of football? Let's talk football, Tommy. Some of the great storylines yesterday. One storyline not so great. Tyreek Hill basically says he's got a foot out the door. He's out. After all season saying he loves it in Miami. Believe at one point he said Tua is the most accurate quarterback he's ever. All of this stuff that Tyreek Hill said to justify his leaving the Chiefs for the money. I think he regrets it now. Now, he probably doesn't regret making all that money. It hasn't been all bad in Miami. It's been a good time. He had some great years, but clearly he wants to go back and win. He's always missed being a part of the Chiefs to me. That's always been pretty apparent. The Chiefs aren't going to go get him back now. He'll make too much money, and quite frankly, they've replaced him. So what's next for Tyreek Hill? An interesting look. It bothers me, and it probably bothers everybody else that he's willing to just get out there publicly on the heels of a loss and abandon his teammates and everything else. But that shouldn't surprise you about Tyreek Hill. That's sort of who he is. He becomes a really interesting trade candidate, though, across the league. A potentially seismic, depending on where he lands, kind of player that's going to now be floated out there with draft time. It's interesting.
Did you happen to watch that entire interview segment? Like when he was being asked questions, it was bizarre. Like it was really strange because like the first 90% of that entire exchange with the reporters asking him questions, it was pretty normal. I mean, him talking about how, it was a tough year and they didn't win the way that they wanted to. And it's hard when, they don't have their QB1 out there, and that Tyler Huntley did a good job filling in though when he came in, like all just kind of normal, I guess like boilerplate responses for Tyreek Hill until the very end, like the very tail end. And it was almost like he just couldn't hold off and resist. And he just basically said, I'm out of here. I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to, do what's best for me and my family and all of that. It was really weird because he had done a good job of like holding all of that in until the very tail end of the exchange with the reporters. So I don't know. I mean, I think that he becomes a kind of player. I mean, keep in mind, he's 30, and just the overall body of work that we have on receivers that are 30 and over is not great.
No.
I think he can still be valuable for a lot of teams if you pair him alongside like a young dynamic type receiver. And that's, I know what Miami wanted to do with Jalen Waddle and all of that. That didn't really work. I think long-term, I mean, they had some success, but they didn't get to where they needed to be ultimately with that pairing. So I don't know. I mean, there are probably a lot of teams out there that look at, maybe a young receiver that they've got, a young wide receiver one, and they think, man, if we could bring in Tyreek Hill to pair with this guy, like, Arizona, for example, with Marvin Harrison Jr., that could be attractive. The Giants, maybe with Malik Neighbors to bring in Tyreek Hill. Although the thing about Tyreek is that he wants to win. Neither one of those franchises, I think, are, especially the Giants, in a position to contend anytime soon.
Yeah, the problem to me is he needs to go to the Chiefs. I've always had that feeling with him. Look, there are places he could go that will make sense. Where does Kirk Cousins end up? You could pair him with Tyreek Hill. It would be a good fit, probably. Tyreek Hill's problem is he wants to go play with a good quarterback where he can win, but he makes too much money. I think you can get out of the deal after a year, if I read it correctly. So that does offer something there. I just don't know what the fit is, right? I don't know. I can't think of a team. I've seen the Ravens as a team floated around, which, wouldn't be awful, I don't think, but I think it's a little bit of a stretch. Green Bay, does Tyreek Hill really want to go to Green Bay?
Yeah,
but
from Miami to Green Bay,
he can play in cold weather. He did it in Kansas City, but that would be a good team that's ascending that could use somebody to put him over the edge. There are teams. It's just, what are you willing to pay? and we'll have to get a Dolphins reaction to this and all that. But that storyline came out of yesterday. Of course, we've seen some coaching announcements. Doug Peterson is out in Jacksonville. Brian Dable will stay in New York. We still don't know on Mike McCarthy. He's technically, by the way, a free agent. He went through the steps to basically talk to anybody. And maybe after the business yesterday with Cooper Rush, he'd like to go somewhere else. I don't know, which could be the best thing for him.
I would. I would if I were him.
That was such nonsense that they didn't play Cooper Rush yesterday. Maybe that's how the marriage ultimately breaks up. That isn't ever going to be good enough is that somebody else wants Mike McCarthy. Like if you're Jacksonville, I think Mike McCarthy would have some value, or a team where look, people that have listened to this as somebody who is a Cowboys fan to some degree, certainly less than I used to be. I've thought Mike McCarthy's fit in Dallas was never going to work. I don't think that means Mike McCarthy can't still have value somewhere in the NFL. I think he can. I think you don't win 12 games with Dallas a couple years in a row and I don't think that's for nothing. I just think it's not going to work in Dallas. So could it work somewhere else? Maybe. Could he go somewhere else? I would love to get his take, and I haven't seen it. Maybe he was asked yesterday on the Cooper Rush thing, but in a week where basically every organization was trying to help players reach their incentives, the Cowboys so blatantly and glaringly did not help their guy reach, like the smallest one we're talking about here is just so insane and so Dallas Cowboys that, maybe that does push him away. So we're waiting and we're watching the NFL coaching carousel. Ben Johnson, of course, of the Lions, is the hot candidate, which gets interesting because then does everything sort of wait on Ben Johnson? And if you're Ben Johnson, which of these jobs would you take? I've told you before, if I was a free agent coach that had my pick of the litter, I would pick Chicago because I believe in Caleb Williams, and you've got him on the cheap and a pretty good roster that you could patch together, I think, rather quickly, although that division is something to consider there. I don't know. Ben Johnson's a top guy. I think Chicago's the top job. What do you think the top job here is?
I mean, I think it is Chicago. I actually agree with you on that. I mean, just the talent that they've got, with a potential, and I'm gonna use the word very specifically, potential top tier franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams. I don't think he's proven that he is, but I think he could be after one season in the NFL. I think that is probably the most attractive place. I don't think the Jaguars is attractive. I don't think the Patriots organization is super attractive, although it does
with Drake May.
Well, I mean, they've got a lot of other holes than just Drake May. They've got a lot of other things they need to fix. It's good they've got Drake May. I think Mike Vrabel will be the head coach for the Patriots. That is
he's who I would pick first.
I mean, that's a
natural
fit. I think that's why Robert Kraft made that move because Vrabel is out there, and Vrabel interviewed with the Jets, and I think that Kraft is like, shoot, I'm going to take another coach away from the Jets and bring in Mike Vrabel. That's just a natural fit for the Patriots. So I think that's probably going to happen. But if I were a free agent head coach looking for a place to land, I do agree with you. It'd probably be Chicago. I think that's got the most upside potentially long-term.
It will be fascinating to see how this all shakes out, and we will see it.
The other thing about Mike McCarthy, real quick, by the way, is that I know Cowboys fans in general are not usually Mike McCarthy fans. I know you're not a Mike McCarthy fan. Do I think Mike McCarthy is incredible? No, but I actually think that he has developed into kind of a semi-sympathetic character in Dallas. Especially because of what happened yesterday. Like that kind of is the icing on the cake with the Mike McCarthy saga in Dallas, because it shows he has no control of that franchise. Jerry Jones is calling the shots. We knew that, but McCarthy clearly has no sway whatsoever with the head guy there in Dallas. And to me, it kind of makes Mike McCarthy that much more of a sympathetic character. Like, man, I feel bad for him because he's going to be the fall guy in all of this.
Yeah.
Well, ultimately, whether it's this year or in the future, he's going to be the fall guy. He already is to an extent. He can't even convince his owner and GM to let Cooper Rush play in the final game to get an incentive. So to me, even though things have, I know people want to always pile on to Mike McCarthy. To me, I feel bad for the guy.
I just have never thought Mike McCarthy was the best fit. That's my problem. I think you have to be the best at the in-game strategy stuff when Dak Prescott is your quarterback. Not so much in the preparation and all that, although they were underprepared too often. That's what bothered me more than anything. I think Mike McCarthy is fine. Now, you don't win a Super Bowl and not be fine. Look, everyone can say at Aaron Rodgers. How many Super Bowls has Aaron Rodgers won without Mike McCarthy? Right? This isn't a Tom Brady,
Right.
Bill Belichick
For sure.
situation.
Yeah.
Like they won a Super Bowl together. And so, yeah, I don't think you ignore that. I think if you pair McCarthy to the right situation, he is a very smart football coach. I just don't think Dallas is the place where that's ever going to work. I think in order for it to work in Dallas, they must go down the Bill Parcells road again. Like there was never.
It's going to come down to what coach that is in the Bill Parcells mode would want to go and do that. Would want to be. I mean, because like remember all the speculation. I don't remember when it was a few years ago that Sean Payton would want to go to Dallas. He had been in Dallas before. That he would want to be.
He could have been that kind of coach.
He didn't want to deal with that.
Well, they didn't want to. They weren't ready to. They weren't ready to get rid of McCarthy at that point. Honestly, like they weren't going to. McCarthy was coming off of 12 win years back.
Like if I've got the personality of a Sean Payton or a Bill Parcells
what
or
it's
Mike
going to take.
I'm not touching that job with a 10-foot pole.
I understand. I don't, and it's been so long now. I don't think Parcells ever struggled with that necessarily, but it takes somebody that can walk in the room and be like, Jerry Jones, shut the hell up and get out of my way. And I think Jerry Jones, as most really smart and successful people do, would be like, all right, like let's now it doesn't last very. No, listen.
He had an interview just yesterday.
Doesn't last very long.
A reporter asked him if he would ever give up being GM.
He won't give up being GM.
He shut it down completely.
Yeah, he's not going to give that.
I bought this for. I think he called it an occupation. Like I bought this for an occupation for the rest of my life, not an investment.
He's all of us playing Madden, right? He's not going to give that up. That's not even what I mean. I don't mean he needs to give up control of player personnel because he has conceded. And then they brought in their draft expert. He has let loose on that to some degree over the years. He's brutal in free agency, but I'm talking about like a decision like Cooper Rush. Like you got to have somebody that's like, Jerry, shut the hell up. We're going to play Cooper Rush. Fork over the money. You got $1 billion. This is a terrible look for this team. We're not doing that. And that's what somebody like Bill Parcells could do. That's why Mike Vrabel was always the guy last year when I was like, they should go get Vrabel because you need that kind of dude to be able to do something like that. It doesn't matter. We're spending way too much time on that, dumpster fire of a final game for the Cowboys, even though they played hard and they almost won that game and all those things. Like it's just so disappointing for Cooper Rush. How about Michael Penix Jr. and Bryce Young? So one of the weird things for me yesterday was how interested in that game I became because of the two quarterbacks. I don't know that we are giving enough love to how awesome it has been to see Bryce Young and his redemption just this year from what he was early in the year to what he's been late in the year. Bryce Young has looked fantastic as a second-year quarterback in the second half. Just go back and look at what he's done in the last few weeks. Though he finished the year, the last 3 weeks of the season, with his best 3 games as a pro. It was awesome to see. I'm so happy for him that happened because I didn't want to close the book. Bryce Young is way likable. I don't know that any of it, and I'm not ultimately sold on him either, by the way. Don't misunderstand. But I am glad to see great quarterback play in the NFL, and I hope he ends up being one. And then on the other side, you had Michael Penix Jr., who is, man, this quarterback class, Tommy, like, are any of them not good? Like, are there any of them that aren't good? Because I think they're all good.
I think the jury is still out on Drake May long term. Caleb Williams, I think, honestly, like he's got so much more expectations on his shoulders that with what he's expected to accomplish, we haven't seen that yet. But just generally speaking, are any of them not good? No, I think they're all good. I think they're all good, solid quarterbacks. Michael Penix Jr. showed that, I think, yesterday for sure. Man, I don't know. As far as Bryce Young is concerned, going back to that, I think it took the Panthers going to Andy Dalton for that entire organization to know, okay, like we're missing out on Bryce Young here, and we need to actually put him in a position to succeed. And I think it took, honestly, Bryce Young to have Andy Dalton come in and be threatened in that regard. Like that, ultimately, that ends up being the best move, I think, for the Panthers.
They
to
deserve
go to Andy Dalton
credit
on both sides. For the Panthers to realize they need Bryce Young, and Bryce Young realizing he needs to step up his game. And he did. To his credit, he did that.
I'm so glad you said that, because the Panthers got drugged through the mud for doing that, and I could not understand why. Like, why was everybody hating on the Panthers for sitting down a player who clearly needed to be sat down? Like, he was lost. He could not do it. And so they bring in Andy Dalton for a minute. And at the time, and I think we even talked about it here, I'm like, hang on, everybody. Like, why can't the Panthers just go back to Bryce Young when they think he's ready? Which is ultimately what happened. And it certainly...
They didn't go back to him when they thought he was ready. They went back to him out of necessity because Andy Dalton got hurt.
Well, that's fine. But what my point was, like, we're not closing the book on Bryce Young because he gets benched. He's not playing well. Bench him. Every player, every rookie gets benched when they don't play well. Bryce Young's not immune to that. And you couldn't even put him out there for how bad he was playing at the time. So he responds to it. If my franchise quarterback can't respond to that kind of adversity, they're never going to work out. So I never had a problem with that by the Panthers. I always thought it was a just fine move. I never thought it was going to be the end of Bryce Young. And now it looks like they have their guy and he looks good. So I'm just happy for Bryce Young. Bryce Young is way likable and he's fun to watch when he's good. He was fun to watch in college. He seems like he's a really good dude. And again, I always root for good quarterback play in the NFL. So I hope he's good. Like I think that was a really interesting thing to happen yesterday. I'm trying to look, and there's one more that piqued my interest yesterday. It's the Chargers. So the Chargers come out and they blow the doors off of the Raiders to secure their place. Jim Harbaugh, year one. We know how successful Jim Harbaugh has been, Tommy, in the postseason in years past. Is that the team that if you're the Chiefs, you look at and say, you know, obviously it's the Bills and the Ravens, but of the other four, I mean, like of the potential second round matchups to the Chiefs, is that the one you want the least? I think it's probably the one I want the least if I'm the Chiefs, would be the Chargers. It's tough. It's a tough call because you get really into the matchups and all of those kinds of things. And we know Denver does present some matchup challenges with their pass rush. But I do think it's the Chargers that I'd least like to see if I'm the Chiefs.
Well, I mean, go back to the very first time that the Broncos and the Chiefs played. I mean, I know yesterday is an anomaly because we all know the Chiefs played their second and third stringers and they got blown out. But the very first time the Chiefs played the Broncos, that was the Chiefs starters, and it took a blocked field goal for the Chiefs to win that game in Arrowhead. So there are clearly challenges, matchup challenges that the Chiefs have with Denver. And so I think that honestly, I said this weeks ago, and I continue on that. I don't know if Denver would be a team I would love to play in the playoffs. I mean, I think that the Chiefs have a good chance overall, but I think between the Broncos and the Chargers, they both pose pretty stout matchups for Kansas City.
I think everybody agrees you'd like to see the Steelers. And by the way, the Chiefs Chargers games were each one-score games during the race. So they were close no matter who the Chiefs played. All right, we'll come back. We've got Jaylon Thompson, our Royals Insider, joining us next.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere. Bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSPW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back into the economy. Shopping local makes our state stronger. So give back to the communities you love and watch our businesses and communities thrive. Shop local and be Kansas proud.
We are following a breaking update.
Every day, all day, stream the stories that have you talking near and far.
Whoever is behind the wheel of this bus is not stopping.
From hundreds of local reporters and meteorologists spanning the country.
Chaos here this morning at the UW campus.
Search LNL for the all-new Local News Live streaming app.
Make yourself known now.
310-01 in traffic pursuit.
Oh my God, here.
Investigate TV Plus begins with real people.
We investigate stories that impact you.
And inspire change every day.
Something is broken.
Real problems
Why are they hiding it?
and real solutions.
My daughter was dying in front of me.
What was your reaction when he said that?
Investigate TV Plus, weekdays at 3:30 p.m. on KWCH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Mornings are busy. We're here to make your mornings better. We report the stories that affect you.
3 more hospital lies from contaminated apple juice just a day after the FDA issue a recall.
We're here to make your mornings better.
Closing east and westbound lanes of K96 for repairs.
With 12 News, you're prepared for your whole day.
Scattered thunderstorms across the state into the afternoon.
Stay a step ahead with 12 News this morning on KWCH and KSCW.
All right, welcome back in, everybody, to Sports Daily. Jacob Albrock, Tommy Castor with you. Glad to be here with you on a Monday. And we are glad to bring in our Royals Insider for the Kansas City Star, Royals reporter Jaylon Thompson, at Jaylon Thompson on X. Jaylon, welcome in. How are you? How's the offseason treating you?
Hey, guys. How are you guys doing?
We're good.
Off-season's been going good.
It's been going good for the Royals, I think, but it doesn't need to be done. So the last time we talked to you, they had just made the trade. They bring in India. They trade away Brady Singer. And they haven't really done anything else since then. Are we okay with that? I think I am. You got to let the big fish kind of go where they're going to land and then see what's left there. But there does get to be a little bit of impatience to go that long without meaningful moves being made. Have we missed anything significant?
No, you haven't missed anything significant, Jacob. When you look at the Royals and what they want to do, they came into this offseason looking for pretty much 3 clear objectives. The first one was You want to get a leadoff hitter that can provide more opportunities for the big three of Bobby Witt Jr., Vinny Pasquantino, and Salvador Perez. They did that by getting Jonathan India. But at that expense, you had to give up someone like Brady Singer, who was your number 4 option coming into this upcoming season. So now you have 2 spots open you need to fill with your pitching staff. And the Royals feel good about that. They have Chris Bubich that they're converting back to a starter. They have Kyle Wright coming back from Tommy John surgery. They have Alec Marsh and Daniel Lynch IV, and they're really excited about Noah Cameron as well. They put him on the 40-man roster to protect them from the Rule 5 draft. So they have guys that can fill in that starting pitcher role. But it's going to be a competition, so that's kind of why you haven't seen them go out and really get another veteran starter. They still could do that. Maybe a guy like Michael Lorenzen, we mentioned him on the last time I was on here. He could be a guy. He's still out there, but he's looking pretty athletic to be a two-way player. So if that doesn't work out, then maybe he's a fit. So that's primarily the reason why the Royals haven't really been making moves in the trade market or really in free agency. And they did just sign Kevon Biggio to a minor league deal yesterday. So that's something that also checked the box for them.
I wanted to ask you, Jaylon, about Biggio, and he was a guy that, I mean, top prospect for sure coming through the minors and looked to be, following in his father's footsteps when he played for the Blue Jays and was really productive when he got started with the Blue Jays organization and all of that. But things kind of fell apart for him a couple of years ago. Was designated for assignment, has kind of bounced around a few different places. I know he's very versatile, but do you think he's somebody that could latch on with the Royals organization and actually be a difference maker for them?
Yeah, Tommy, I think that with Kevon Biggio, you look at the baseball pedigree. You mentioned his father, Craig Biggio, is a Hall of Famer. He has all the tools. I mean, you look at his rookie season in 2019, he had a really productive year for the Toronto Blue Jays, finished 5th in AL Rookie of the Year voting. But since then, the numbers have kind of just haven't been at that same level. So it's very low risk, high reward potentially for the Royals. They were looking for someone that could be that left-handed hitting option that could play third base or pretty much anywhere around the infield. And he's a super utility guy. He can pretty much play anywhere on the field. And for the Royals, a manager, Matt Quatrero, he loves versatility. It's something that he can put a guy in any spot and have them perform. And you saw that last year when he gave starts to Gary Hampson and Adam Frazier. The thing for Biggio is going to be, can he hit and be more productive in the lineup? He bounced around with the Blue Jays, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Atlanta Braves last year, and he really just couldn't latch on. So if the Royals can figure out a way to help him be more consistent at the plate and use his defensive versatility, they might have someone on a minor league contract that they can use.
Yeah, I mean, it's the right kind of deal for a team like the Royals, I think. I want to go back to Michael Lorenzen. So the two-way player thing you mentioned, it sounds like it's only to help the team avoid a pitcher restriction. So I don't think Lorenzen's saying I want to play in the outfield. I think he's just trying to do like the Shohei Ohtani thing where a team doesn't kind of get, but I don't know what the money's going to look like for him, but I would love to see him back in Kansas City. Even if he's not a starter, which I think he would be ultimately, he's still a good reliever at the same time. Like, bring him in and let him do either, but I would feel much more confident. I don't like going into a season where 40% of your starting rotation are what ifs, right? Well, what if Chris Bubich is good? What if Daniel Lynch can finally take the next step? What if Kyle Wright's healthy? I'd rather have something a little more solid in there. I love the idea of bringing Lorenzen back.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that one. Michael Lorenzen is a pitcher and a player that has a lot of respect within the Royals organization. I mean, when they acquired him, they all raved about his ability to come in and pitch whenever you need him to. He could be a starter. He could be a reliever. Before he was acquired by the Royals, he was with the Rangers, and he pitched one day as a starter, and then the next day he came in and gave you more relief innings. So that just shows the type of competitor that he is, and he's someone that he really took to being in that World's clubhouse last year down the stretch. I mean, a lot of guys came to him and they just leaned on his veteran expertise. Same that they did with Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha. But just to have someone in there that is a gamer, I think every team needs that. And I think Michael Lorenzen, for what the Royals want in that swing position where he could be a starter or a reliever, he is the best fit for that role, I believe, for the Royals.
When you were talking about Biggio, Jaylon, you mentioned how the big question is going to be, can he regain his form offensively? Can he contribute in the lineup to the Royals? I think that's a huge question mark, not just for Biggio, but in general for the Royals offensively, outside of Witt, outside of Perez, outside of Pasquantino. What can they do offensively? Do you think, and I know really not a whole lot's been done in this offseason, do you think that J.J. Piccolo has got to go and try to find another bat in the lineup to help get more offense, maybe even down at the bottom of that lineup?
I think that would help. I really do. But when you listen to what J.J. Piccolo said throughout the end of the year press conferences and winter meetings and things of that nature, he always came back to our younger hitters have to continue to mature. And when he mentions that, he's talking about MJ Melendez. He's talking about Michael Garcia. He's talking about Michael Massey even. Just those guys getting more and more experience in the lineup, seeing more and more pitching years and years as being a big leaguer. You just get better as you go through it. And I think for the Royals, last year, they were ahead of schedule. They lost 106 games in 2023. Then they won 86 last year. That's a 30-win improvement. They are on track now. I think they are in an area where this is where the team they want to be. This is how they want to lean on starting pitching and defense. And I think the hitting will come. And I think if the Royals find a deal that is of their liking, they will pursue it. But really, it's going to come down to those younger guys that are just now getting into their third, fourth, and fifth year in the big leagues producing. And if they can get one of MJ Melendez or Michael Garcia to experience a breakout and take that next step forward, then I think they have the hitting that they need to go further and win the American League Central.
All right. With that being said, Jaylon Thompson joining us, the KC Star Royals reporter, our Royals insider moving forward. Very excited about that. If the Royals have another headline type move to make, where do you think it'll be?
I think it will be an outfielder. I think more or less probably an outfielder that could be potentially a bench option or someone that can potentially get you starts in the field. So maybe someone that may not be top of the line, but someone that is productive. So you think about what the Royals did last year. They played several different veterans down the stretch. You had Yuli Gurriel drawing starts. That was probably because of Vinny Pasquantino's injury. But you also had Tommy Pham that drew starts in the outfield. And they mixed and matched there with Melendez, Tommy Pham, Hunter Renfroe, and the like. So it might be something where they go and get a veteran outfielder just to compete for a spot on the bench and add that versatility. Remember, you still have to fill out your bench a little bit because you lost a lot of guys. Right now, you're looking at Freddie Fermin. You're looking at possibly Joey Weimer if he can make the team out of spring training and doesn't start in AAA. But then after that, you really don't have another guy or so on the bench. Maybe Duran Blanco, but he's there for the speed aspect of things. So you really got to put those last couple of spots together. And I think that as January goes forward and into February before the pitchers and catchers report on February 12th for spring training in Surprise, Arizona, they might potentially get another bat or two just to round out the roster.
I'm with you. I think that's the most likely. I still hope it's a pitcher. Jaylon, we appreciate it. We'll do this again next week. I think we are getting into the point where the Royals are in move-making territory. These headline guys continue to go. We appreciate your insight. Check out Jaylon's work at the KC Star. You can follow him on X at Jaylon T. Thompson. Jaylon, thanks for being here with us this morning.
Thank you, Jacob and Tommy. I appreciated the opportunity, and I'll see you guys next week.
Sounds good. Love having it. Tommy, how good is it to have Royals talk like this in January? It has been so long, and I'm so excited that we're back to like relevant free agency in these days. It's like it's great.
It's been a long time since I've been excited for spring training. Like I'm counting down the days until Royals spring training
with legitimate playoff implication type roster decisions being made. It's been almost a decade. It's been so long. It's been like 8 years, 7 years. And they surprised us last year with those moves. And look, it led them back to the postseason. We got just a handful of minutes here tonight. So a reminder, if everything goes as planned, we have not heard anything yet to indicate that it will not. The Shockers will play tonight. Coverage begins at 5 o'clock over on KYN against South Florida. We sort of laid that out for you. You got to have it. Now, it's game 2 of an AAC schedule, and Wichita State is not going to be an at-large, but they got to have it today. Got to have it. This has to reset the momentum for this program, and we must avoid what we saw last year.
Yeah, like I said earlier this hour, the difference, the fine line between good and great teams is how they can win when they have a lead. And of course, being back home, you would anticipate that against a team like South Florida that you should have the lead late in the game. Hopefully they've learned their lesson from what happened Friday night against Temple. They can close out South Florida. They can get a win. They can move to 1-1 in conference play.
And be ready too, as we get to this part of the college basketball season, like the playoffs for the NFL are here. We're down to the semifinals in the college football, but we are to that point where we get consistent college basketball, and we've got games basically every night or almost every night. Couple other quick programming notes for you. Reminders, the debut of the Rich Eisen show here on KFH is at 11 o'clock today. Jim Rome moves now, his big move, 2 o'clock. And then you'll get Bob and Jeff back in drive time. 4 to 6 regularly. They'll go 4 to 5 today, assuming the Shockers play. So there's a new lineup here on the
5 to 6.
Yeah.
Jim Rome goes from 2 to 5, and then Bob and Jeff 5 to 6.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll have all kinds of stuff there. So it's a shift here on the Kansas fan headquarters. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're ready for it. We'll be back tomorrow with more insiders for you. We appreciate everybody that's, watching us on the stream right now and continuing to listen to us. Stay safe out there, everybody. Yeah. These roads suck. Easy. They suck. Tommy
has to get out there and drive around. I mean, the sun is out, which is good, but the roads are still pretty bad. So if you don't have to be out, stay home.
Yep. Sports Daily is with you here, continuing into 9 o'clock hour. Look forward to the Rich Eisen debut today as well. For Tommy, I'm Jacob. Don't go away.
Just because it's 4 o'clock doesn't mean your day's wrapping up. Get the facts first on 12 News at 4. It doesn't matter where you are. In the office, on the road, or on your couch, 12 News is everywhere. Bringing you the story as it happens, catching you up on everything you need to know, and giving you your first look at the next 10 days from Storm Team 12. Watch weekdays on KWCH and KSPW. 12 News at 4. Facts first.
Hey, Wichita, Jim Rome here, celebrating over 25 years as the #1 midday sports talk show on Wichita Radio. Find out why. Tune into The Jungle, weekdays 11 until 2 on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Sometimes people tell us, I don't get it, it's just tea. But let me tell you, we are so much more than just tea. With 20 plus flavors of sweet and unsweet iced tea, the possibilities are endless. Come on in and try them all for free to find your favorite or get us on the go for your busy lifestyle. And don't miss happy hour every day. So the next time someone tells you it's just tea, tell them to come by and find out why we say, drink tea, be happy.
Clouds are not just the canvas of our imagination. They tell a story. Clouds affect the events of your day. Sometimes they growl, sometimes they inspire, but they're always the messengers of nature's mood, written in the sky. Storm Team 12 understands the language of clouds. We're dedicated to decoding their message so you know what to expect. Behind every cloud, there is a story waiting to be told. Trust Ross Jansen and Storm Team 12, alerting you first to the impact on your life.
When you need help, remember, you're not alone. We are here. We are neighbors. We are together. We are Kansas. We are 12 News.
They say it takes a village. Come together and support local businesses in our neighborhoods. When you contribute to local shops, more money goes back.
All right, here we go.